Okay, so this next one is all about the remarketing audiences, right? So we go more in depth in the audiences in the accelerated section where you can kind of start targeting outside of just the stuff that is interacted with your website, right? So if you haven't upgraded, definitely check out the offers, and give me a shout in the Facebook group as well, and I'll see if I can't hook you up with a discount, since you've made it this far with us. But as far as the audiences within the ad group or the ad account right now that you're going to be dealing with, these are people that have already been exposed to your brand, right? They've already been on your website, and depending on what point they interacted from, what network they came off of, they may have only seen the first page, they may have been directed directly to a product page, they may have explored all around the website. And that's what this lesson is all about. It's more about the audience tag and the pixel data that's gathered within the site, right? And what you have available to you and how you can kind of segment that out. So from the dashboard, where you're going to start off on is you're going to click on the tools menu and you go to the audience manager. Okay. So in the audience manager, you have a couple different options on the left-hand side. You have audience list, audience insights, audience sources. The audience insights and audience sources we'll get to more in the advanced section. So I'm just going to kind of run through in the remarketing audiences that you have the capability on, right? So when you set up the AdWords tag on the site, what it's going to do is it's automatically going to populate these lists for you, right? You have just a general visitors list, which is basically everybody that visits your site. So it doesn't matter what page they land on, this is what it's going to fall into the general visitors category. Your non-converters are people that they basically put something, they went to the site and they didn't purchase anything. They could have bounced off, they could have put things in the cart. It doesn't really segment out precisely what their action or how far in depth they got into, right? The past converters are people that have actually converted on the site. So people that bought your product, acquired for a service, depending on where the action is set as well. You could also just be like a form fill. Program searches. Now, this is going to be more specific for the education aspect of it, where they went to the page and they searched out for a particular program on their search box. Program viewers is people that actually just viewed the program page, right? So this tracks the individual page, where these are all talking about whether or not they saw the website, any page of it, whether or not they purchased anything, people that did purchase. And this is people that actually just viewed the program page. So this code is going to be fired only if they saw, for our instance, where the education page, right? So that's going to be as far as the default kind of breakdown is. Now, you can get into some custom audiences here and you can create them, right? And you can do custom affinity audiences. We'll do education. Do that, right? The URL. And it shows like these are some interests, and then I can create this audience and go back on it, right? Now this is going to be a similar audience. What it's going to do is it's basically going to take some of the attributes, and that's how it finds those. You can layer those within your similar audiences to try and find basically people that are outside your normal circle, right? They're people that aren't necessarily on Google all the time, or they only operate in one search engine, something to that effect, right? They're going to be people that haven't directly interacted with your site, but they proceed a lot, or they display a lot of the same behavior, right? They're doing the same searches on Google. They're looking at the same websites on the GDN network, viewing the same type of content on YouTube. Those type of people is what's going to be those affinity audiences and the custom intent audiences, right? You can also, in the remarketing tab, you can upload website visitors, right? App users, YouTube users, and customer lists, right? So if you have offline conversions of customers that people that visited your brick and mortar store, and you have just a nice long list of all their email addresses, you can upload that back in here and you can do remarketing to it. Let's see what it said for this. Your account currently isn't eligible to use customer match. It's probably because of education. That particular intent right there, right? Those are certain things. Again, you're going to get warnings within the actual account, but that gives you a little bit of insight into, what the default tags are. Again, you can create custom audiences, right? If you want to do a custom combination, like if I want to go down here and I want to do, hey, they were, past converters and they did program searches, right? Do describe down here, converters, searched programs. So now the thing about this audience and what I would do with this particular audience for collateral growth's particular, mindset, or I guess our strategy would be to, anybody that bought our course, if they, if they hadn't upgraded to the accelerated division, right, then we would go back in front of them and be like, hey, we know you search for additional programs and additional insights. Does the accelerator meet your goals? Or, I could even do something where a funnel that would be really cool, just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm probably going to do, is once we roll out this program, right, for people that only purchase the dive-in program, then I can position something back in front of them and be like, oh, you purchased the dive-in program, hey, are you looking to accelerate your learning and take advantage of the accelerated program? Because you were in the dive-in program, we'll give you a free personal lesson with Nelson. And if that's not what you're looking for, take this survey about other additional courses that we're looking to do and give us valuable insight on what our next steps should be, right? That way you can make sure that you're taking advantage of the data, because the one thing that hopefully you figured out by now is that, whether or not you're talking about Google, you're talking about Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, social. I mean, Snapchat's a great example. They have never made any money. They've lost billions, right? But their target audience is like 20 billion, like it's just billions of people, right? So that their capability of having a laser focus and access to that type of target audience continues to prompt investors to just dump money into that company, right? So that's what you need to think about all your data and all the valuable information that you're gathering from your customers as they're interacting with your site. Or with YouTube, one of the cool things is again, you don't have to have any code. So if you're putting out content, if they just watch your video, if they subscribe to your channel, if they like your video, if they really do any of those three actions with any of your content that you put out, then it tags them and you have the capability to go back in and remarket to them in some sort of manner, right? Maybe their particular content didn't key on their pain points at that time, but the second piece you can really tell a story with. So that next piece, when you're really telling that story and getting into those heart-wrenching details, they're already aware of your brand, so they already kind of formulate that top of mind awareness, and they pay a little bit more attention to your brand and your ad whenever you start telling them that story, right? These are just some strategies that you can do with the lists and the codes in order to kind of help really focus in that message and key in on your customers' pain points to help move them down the funnel. Because again, we want to move them down the funnel as fast as possible so that we can continue to build that value as we do. And the best way to do that is contacting them on multiple platforms across multiple devices with varying content that really keys in on those heartstrings and is relevant to them, right? That's the key in the entire thing, where they're talking about display, you're talking about YouTube, or you're talking about search. Providing relevant content that improves that user experience is only going to reduce your cost whenever in any of these auctions, and going to expedite your conversion path within these particular customers and ultimately put a lot more money back in your pocket. So now we're going to jump into this next module into actually building these things out and picking in and pulling in these audience campaigns that we've just created within this model. So I'll see you in the next video.